Welcome back. I'm going to try it again. Welcome back to another edition. And I am delighted to have Dr. Megan Ford back with us. We had a wonderful discussion um, a month or so ago,
Yeah,
and there was enough to talk about. We said we have to get together again. So, welcome
yeah.
back.
Thank you. I'm really honored to be back for a part two. There was so much left to say after our first conversation. So fun to be back. Glad to be back.
Great. So let's pick it up there. We talked a lot about your path to where you are today. We touched a
Mhm.
little bit on the Love and Money Center, which um, is going to be celebrating, is it 25 years?
I think overall, we talked a little bit about the iterations and the history of the Love and Money Center, and it's been through a couple of identity changes. The most recent identity change was a year and a half ago. This past fall, we celebrated the Love and Money Center's first birthday. And so we'll celebrate our second birthday coming up this fall. But for many years, we were known as the Aspire Clinic and maintained that holistic model of service and training and research. And then the earliest iteration was that we were a marriage and family therapy clinic. And so that, I believe, the program itself in the clinic was started maybe in the late 80s, early 90s, I want to say, here at the University of Georgia.
Okay.
So we have a long history, and the Love and Money Center is kind of the newest take.
Yeah, it's had many, many faces to your point. Let's talk a little bit about what the Love and Money Center does, because it's really unique
Mhm.
in the United States, in financial therapy, in mental health, in financial planning.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm guessing probably a cutting edge, maybe a leading edge example of what's going to become more normal. But talk a little bit about
Sure.
what it does.
I hope it becomes more of the norm. I hope we can duplicate this model elsewhere, but we're in a unique position. And I think you summarized it really well. There are elements of the Love and Money Center that are, still very much on the leading edge of studying and training and supporting relational and financial well-being for all. And so as a center, that is where we are anchored and what we kind of hope to bring to the world. Kind of standing on the shoulders of many faculty who came before me and helped to uh, walk walk this path and pave the way for what we do now. So they deserve a lot of credit and acknowledgement for their efforts in putting us where we are today. But where we focus are sort of these three pillars. We want to have a sort of foot in professional visibility, and so bringing relational and financial health and well-being content out into the world. Maybe that's training professionals through continuing education processes. I have my own YouTube video series where I do author talk. I'll have to have you on one of these days because you've authored many of our like textbooks that we use and our courses in financial therapy. So we might have to talk about that at some point. But that's one element of what the Love and Money Center
While we're
does.
on that, why don't you
Yeah.
tell us where somebody could find Author Talk?
Author
Did,
Talk is on our YouTube, which is at UGA Love and Money Center. That's our
okay.
YouTube. So we could put it in the show notes and people could jump on that really quickly. But you'll appreciate this. You're of the age where you will know what I mean when I say Cliff's Notes. Author Talk was really not everybody will know what that means, but basically like quick brief conversations that really get at the heart of writing and authorship around financial therapy, financial psychology, relational and financial well-being, and helping, spread the good news and the word about those authors and the work that they're bringing to the world. So that's it's fun. It's brief. It doesn't take up a whole lot of time. I know attention spans and time for people are limited, so that's kind of the idea behind Author Talk. But that really does connect to one of the goals that we have as a center around, professional visibility and training and talking with media. So that's a piece of it. Another piece is community engagement, and that is our world of service and training undergraduate and graduate students in these unique models and perspectives of financial therapy, behavioral financial planning. And so at the Love and Money Center, we have students who are financial planning students, and we have students who are marriage and family therapy or couple and family therapy students. And they are working towards their respective degrees, their training in our environment. And the wonderful thing about an interdisciplinary center is that there's kind of this organic, like cross-pollination of knowledge and this exchange that happens between students when they coexist in the same environment. They're maybe sharing anecdotes, they're sharing things that they've learned with one another. And that's really exciting, maybe not always the biggest intention, but sort of an after effect of what happens when you have students who are together under one roof. And there's the opportunity within the Love and Money Center as well for students to train cross-disciplinarily. So that's a really big deal because, as we know in financial therapy, you kind of, the whole crux of where this started was, hey, you're in this camp, and I feel like I need to borrow from your camp in order to maximize or do the best that I can with my clients.
Yeah, I want to really bring out that you said it was a really big deal, but I want to emphasize it's a really big deal.
Yes.
And my tenure in academia has been very short and different. As an adjunct faculty member, I don't have the full experience and immersion into academia, but I just know with the university that I've worked with, getting the college for, it's not college for mental health. What would be the name of your college?
Yeah, we're an interdisciplinary unit of the College of Family and Consumer Sciences.
Okay.
Mhm.
Getting the mental health college to talk to the financial planning
Yes.
college.
Mhm.
Man alive. I had no idea
Yeah.
of
They don't speak the same language, do they?
They don't speak the same language. There's these just turf wars.
Mm.
I'll be real crass because I can.
Your podcast.
It's just getting them to collaborate. In fact, I had collaboration agreed upon with the head of the department, and just through the channels, through these bureaucratic kind of undistinguishable things that happen, it just didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that UGA has been able to pull this off, I think, is amazing.
Yeah, we're really fortunate. I think we have an advantage in that in other environments, these two programs may not exist under the same college or kind of school structure. So that's one huge advantage that we do have.
Yeah, big advantage.
Because there's already sort of that that relationship established. You're familiar. These are colleagues of yours, and you might be working towards similar goals for that college. So I think that's a big advantage that the University of Georgia has, and I'm really grateful that we've kept them housed in the same place, because I don't think that those collaborations, and I don't think that the Levin Money Center would be what it is without that scaffolding and that structure being there.
Yeah, I can see how that eliminated some major obstacles just in the way that it's formed.
Yep.
And as you were talking, I'm thinking one of the real obstacles of therapists in general is doing their countertransference work on money and finance.
Right.
And I was reminded this recently. I was asked a question at a workshop I did, I think it was last week, about, well, should we just refer out to any therapist? And I said, yeah, well, probably not.
Yep.
How so through this program, your family therapists have the opportunity to work in the field of money, of financial therapy, right? How does someone in that program, in the marriage and or it's what's the official title of it?
Yeah, couple and
marriage and
family
therapy.
Yep, couple and family therapy, or marriage and family therapy.
How do they end up in the Love and Money Center doing this work alongside of a financial planner?
Yeah. Yep.
And I think your sessions they're conjoint, aren't they? They're working with the planner in front of the couple or the person.
That's one option. Yeah, I think that there are a couple of streams here. So we are the premier interdisciplinary training center and site for the couple and family therapy program here at the University of Georgia. There's a doctoral level, and also we just ushered in a brand new master's level program, which has been so exciting and allows us at the Love and Money Center, being the premier training site that works with that program and helps to facilitate their early training as couple and family therapists. We have the opportunity to increase our capacity, which is great. So I'm kind of coming from both angles, and then I'll talk about that central piece that is more of the kind of overlap in the combination. For financial planning students, they're going to opt in through a course that was developed first under Dr. Joe Getz, the financial planning practicum. So it's called Clinical Practicum in Financial Planning, which is, it was the first of its kind. It was super unique, and it's really helping financial planners to get the opportunity to try on the application and service pieces before they kind of get out, hit the job market. So they're opting in. The couple and family therapy program, it's a bit more integrated into their program. And then you have the central piece where students of both areas and disciplines can opt in to that crossover, can opt in to learning more or taking courses that cross over those areas. So a financial planning student could opt in to taking a course that's typically taken by a couple and family therapy student.
Nice.
And a couple and family therapy student could opt in and take some courses that relate a little bit more to personal finance or financial therapy. And what you started talking about was this beautiful opportunity that when they are in the Love and Money Center training and working with real life clients from the community who really need maybe both professionals to be present in the room, which is a model of financial therapy that you talk a lot about in the writing that you've done. We bring that to them. We bring that opportunity to these students and to these clients, wherein if there is some type of concern that starts in kind of one stream or the other stream. Maybe it's a financial planning client at the Love and Money Center who's really struggling with conflict with their partner, or really struggling with some psychological or emotional blocks concerning money. The financial planner, I'm using my hands kind of like a puppet show today, I realize. The financial planner over here can call upon one of the couple and family therapy students to consult, to collaborate, just sort of depending on the nature of the situation, would dictate maybe how involved that complementary professional is in the situation. But there's the opportunity, as you said, for them to both sit in the room together and help that client or clients to address what is affecting them.
So in this practicum for financial planners that they can opt in, it's an elective, I'm guessing.
For the most part, yes. There are some students who would take that as a requirement, depending on kind of which track in the program. If they're a behavioral financial planning / financial therapy student, it's one of the requirements.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So they're in the program, and they are now meeting with a client from the community, a real person.
Yep.
And they're doing one-on-one financial planning with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they run into something emotional, which probably would be within the first 10 minutes.
Yep. They sit down and water works. And the financial planning student is frozen in place, not knowing what to do.
So they can reach out and do a consultation collaboration with a marriage and family therapy student.
That's right.
Or they can maybe together decide that they'd be in the meeting together.
Yep.
That is awesome. Now, how about the MFT student?
Yeah.
Do they, I'm guessing they have the same opportunity to be working on emotional issues with the client.
Yep. Of course.
And when they run into financial issues, what do they do?
Yeah, kind of the same idea. They might call upon one of the financial planning students in that semester's practicum to collaborate, to consult. It could be a really isolated, financial question, and they just need some additional information. Like that's one variation of what happens. The client is stressed about a pretty narrow issue, but there's also stuff that happens where couples come in, they're in conflict, and a lot of the conflict centers around financial decision making, financial concerns, maybe economic stressors. And then, the couple and family therapy student may not be as familiar with that territory. They're training to kind of manage or help to resolve some of the underlying concerns around the conflict and what might be, leading to that, the dynamics that might be there. But sometimes, as we know, it's really helpful to have a planner in that scenario who can sort of point the couple in a particular direction and maybe infuse a little bit of that knowledge around money.
So I think I'm hearing that they start off the engagement with the consumer with one or the other. It's not being billed as this is financial therapy. You get to come in and do financial therapy. You're going to come in and work with the marriage and family therapist or the financial planner.
Most typically, yeah. And
I think then
that's
depending how it unfolds, is whether those two collaborate.
Yeah. And I think that's right. And what we're working towards is kind of next steps, right? Next steps are we really want students here at the University of Georgia to study, have the opportunity to study financial therapy and not just come from, which has been like the perpetual pathway into financial therapy, which has pros and cons, as we know. Coming in from one area or the other area and then sort of like landing in the middle through more adoption or knowledge or bringing in that other set of skills. What we really want to do in this next kind of phase is train students specifically in financial therapy as its own unique knowledge base, competency base, and practice. That's really like, if that happens, I feel like I can retire at that point. I feel like I've hit the pinnacle at that moment then.
Well, and that's the direction that your colleague Christy Archuleta and yourself have been nudging the Financial Therapy Association and how we approach this discipline of financial therapy, that the vision is what you just articulated, that it become its own discipline.
Right.
That there'll be a degree, whether it's master's or undergrad or both, in financial therapy someday.
Yep.
How far away are we from that happening?
I would say closer than you might think. Without being, things move slow in academic settings.
No,
it's an understatement.
Really?
It's true. It's true. Things don't move as fast as you might like them to, many of our chagrin, but we're closer than you might think. And I think that the University of Georgia in particular, because of the Love and Money Center existing, because these two programs exist again, under that same college structure, we have a leg up in that way.
Yeah, I see that more clearly than I've ever seen it with good. UGA specifically. That never clicked with me that it was in the same college.
Yeah.
And I can see where it can happen at UGA. Probably you'll be the first, is my guess, just because the one huge obstacle is out of the way. Right.
Absolutely.
And you've come out with your, I think it's 15-hour life planning, financial therapy certificate.
We have a graduate certificate, like a few other universities do. Ours is in behavioral financial planning / financial therapy. So it's kind of a long name, but yes, it's a graduate certificate, and it's also a track that students who are here on campus can take as well. So it's an online or an on-campus experience.
Yeah. Well, you think it'll happen in 5 years?
Oh yeah. You can quote me. I'm guaranteeing that we'll be there in 5 years. Yep.
You just got quoted.
I just put it out there. So I gotta make it happen, right?
That is a little quicker. I was probably thinking 10. But maybe it's at 10 at your normal university. I don't know. That's pretty exciting. Going back to the center, how do you recruit people to be the word's coming up for me is guinea pigs, and that's not a very good word.
Yeah. How do we engage our consumers?
Yes, that is much more professional.
I've heard it's one of my gifts sometimes to offer a reframe.
Yes.
So we are able to recruit clients through many different kinds of channels and pathways. And I would say to add on, it's not that we're not doing financial therapy already. We are doing a version of financial therapy in the Love and Money Center. And I think that the point is to just kind of take that a step further, amplify it, and really be super like purposeful about that training.
And the way
But
that you're doing
yeah.
financial therapy, it hits me as very real. Because right
Mhm,
now, people
mhm.
are coming to their therapist or they're coming to their financial planner, and then you
Yeah.
inevitably run into the issue. So
Yeah.
training the disciplines now in how to make that referral, how
Mhm.
to work together, how to collaborate. I mean,
Yeah.
that's very real world
That's true.
today, and
That's
how
true.
it happens.
Yeah. You offered your own reframe, which is great because I think
Oh,
that that's
good.
absolutely true. That's absolutely true. They do need to know because many of them will land in that home discipline and not necessarily in financial therapy. There, I hope that there's a group of them that will start to grow more and more into that kind of center place of financial therapy. But until then, you're right. They'll land in their home discipline and knowing more and having been exposed to a complementary discipline that can be really useful to tap into or refer to is is a key skill, I think,
Very much so.
going forward. So how do we get our clients? We recruit through many channels. We have on-campus partners, we have community partners, and we offer our services low to no cost. So the Love and Money Center is really we work with all people, but we really are trying to work with those folks who may be priced out of services out in the community. Specifically, financial planning services. Many low to middle income folks, and on the mental health side too, this is true. They are priced out of maybe private practitioners. And so this model that exists offers them a doorway into receiving those services in a way that's not going to break the bank, and is really going to deliver something that is useful and needed for them. So that's really
And what
the
a phenomenal model we have wrestled with for decades in the
yeah,
financial planning profession. How do we bring financial planning to the masses?
right. Yeah.
How do we hit the community that you're hitting? And what a win-win scenario
Hmm.
where you're training, they're getting
Yeah.
the advice, and then they're also, we didn't get a lot into the supervision, obviously,
Hmm.
obvious to me and you,
Yeah.
that's going on with these clients, or not the
Hmm.
clients, the
The
students,
students, yeah. Yeah,
because they're
the clients
getting
by the students.
feedback.
Hmm.
Here's what went really well.
Yeah.
Here is a growing edge. That's
Yep.
my
Love it.
reframe.
I love it. It's a great one.
How valuable that is. And I think your program is doing that. I think Hannah Moore has started this independently, kind of a, more of a consultation, or let's videotape you,
Yeah.
let's give you some supervision,
Hmm.
which I just think if financial planning grows into a profession, certainly financial therapy is something that's critical in the development
Hmm.
of the
Yeah.
practitioner. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Megan,
Absolutely.
we're out of time again, but
Gosh, it
at
feels
least
like
we
we
got
could
it.
go, feels like we could go into part three, couldn't we?
Well, we probably can.
Oh,
And we,
I've signed myself up for another time.
that's right. Yeah, because there's some things that you've done, like the couples money conflict scale.
Yeah, the couple financial conflict scale. Yeah, yeah.
That it'd be fascinating to um, delve into that. So, um, thank you so much for taking your time and being with us. And I know the audience that listens to this will find this really valuable and very insightful.
I hope so. I mean, that's always the hope when you're a guest on a podcast is that someone listens and they find it valuable. So I'm so appreciative to be asked back, and it's always so fun to chat with you.
And where do they go to find Love and Money Center and a little bit more about Dr. Megan Ford?
Sure. You can find out all about what the Love and Money Center is up to via our social media channels. So those are LinkedIn. I mentioned the YouTube earlier. We have a Facebook and also Instagram. So check those out. We also have a website that will kind of connect you to all the goings on and really what we're about as well. That's a good resource. So
Nice.
find me there.
Thank you so much for the work that you do and making South Dakota proud.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot.
Take care.